Hello again. In today's lesson, we're going to take a look at another comparison exercise for the Japanese occupation. In this exercise, we have a very interesting cartoon. Just in case you missed out on your childhood, this is the Big Bad Wolf and the Three Little Pigs story. Now just
Little pig, let me in! By the power of my chinny chin chin! Little pig, let me in! By the power of my chinny chin chin!
yeah, so you get the idea. The Big Bad Wolf is trying to blow the house down, and if you recall, the third little piggy made his house out of stone or concrete. It's very difficult to blow his house down, so no matter how hard he blows, it's just not working. So this is a British cartoon on its readiness to meet the Japanese threat, and as you can clearly see, they are trying to say that Singapore is well prepared by the concrete house that you see here. Taking a look at another source, which is a historian's view on the British defeat in Singapore, it's not surprising to see another view on whether the Japanese were prepared or not. Let's read the source first. It says, in the north, virtually nothing had been done to prepare for a Japanese attack. Areas of beach there lacked even barbed wires or trenches. The defenders of Singapore, many of them Australian and Indian units, were poorly trained and lacked both anti-aircraft and anti-tank guns. Modern aircrafts were especially in short supply. The Japanese completely dominated the skies. So after reading this, we get a totally different sense that the British weren't that all prepared for the Japanese attack, as when we compare to this picture, which tells us that they were prepared. So how do we answer this? Let's take a look at the table. You can start off by either a similarity or difference. It makes no difference to me. I just start off with the difference first, which was quite obvious. In the difference, I identified the common criteria as readiness of British in war against Japanese. In other words, were the British prepared for war against the Japanese? On the left column here, we have evidence. British were well prepared to defend Singapore against Japanese, thought Singapore was an impregnable fortress. Okay. I might add on another part, which is Singapore was described as being a concrete house. Okay, so in source B, we see the evidence that British were unprepared for attack of Singapore by Japanese in terms of army tactics and machinery. Okay, so they didn't have enough weapons or training, etc. In terms of the similarity, not everybody might be able to get this, but the similarity is quite simple actually. It is about Japan attacking Singapore. So, in the similarity, Japan was projected as a wolf attacking the pig in the bricked house named Singapore. And in source B, you can basically take any evidence which shows that Japan was attacking Singapore. In this case, Japan was using air attack, or you could just use Japan completely dominated the skies. So now that we have all this, how do we write it out again? Simple, step by step. Okay, source A and source B, we start off with the common criteria first. Source A and source B are different in talking about the readiness of British against the Japanese. After that, give the evidence. Source A shows that the British were well prepared to defend Singapore against Japanese and thought Singapore was an impregnable fortress as the pig was in the brick house named Singapore while Japan was huffing and puffing trying to attack the pig. However, source B talks about the British were unprepared for the attack of Singapore by Japanese in terms of army tactics and machinery. Source B says, in the north, virtually nothing had been done to prepare for a Japanese attack. So we see common criteria, evidence, evidence. So that's the difference. Now, we're going to move on to similarity. Now, both sources A and B are similar in talking about how Japan was attacking Singapore. It's pretty straightforward. That is your common criteria. And don't forget, after you give the common criteria, you need to give your evidence. That's right. Source A shows Japan as an aggressive wolf attacking the pig in the brick house named Singapore. And source B says Japan completely dominated the skies. So, evidence is given, common criteria is here. Now, what happens if you only give me a similarity or a difference only? Those kind of answers will only get you 4 to 5 marks and it won't get you the most marks. However, if you have both, you stand to gain a maximum of 6 marks. Alright, so do remember the steps: common criteria, evidence, evidence, and give both similarities and differences. Alright, that's the end of my lesson. I hope you understood.